is an absolute delight to be here on the early part of the day. And what a magical part of the day it is. It's not always easy to join the day at this hour, but it is always magical. It's simply beautiful. So wherever you are in the world, welcome along to She Is Me this year. It's a delight to be here again and to be with you. It is a delight to be able to speak to you about delightfully evolving your radiance. What is it? What is radiance? Some of the words that are used in place of radiance is your shine, your brilliance, your eminence even. It is all about that magnificence. Some may think, I haven't got any radiance. But you do. Your radiance actually comes from the very essence, the spirit of who you are. And your radiance comes from your soul. Your soul being that part of you that is the part of humanity, the humanness of you. And it's all about your personality. So you shine when you smile. You shine when your heart sings. And yeah, there are times in our lives when our heart's not singing, but our radiance, our shine, our brilliance can still be seen in the light of our eyes, can still be seen through our smile. And delightfully, I love that word. What does it feel like to you? If you say that you are delighted, or someone says to you, I'm delighted to meet you, it's delightful to have you here, or it's delightful even to be in your company. Words have such a lot of power. Words are amazing in the vibration that they meet to us or meet with us. Every time we're in a conversation, there is all this different vibration going on within us with every word. Not only with every word that we hear, but also every word that we speak. So if we're delightfully evolving our radiance, then we are holding ourselves in a place that is nothing short of magnificent. And that might seem like a little bit of a scary word, a little bit of that's too much. Let me walk you down the path of delightfully evolving your radiance. So when we're evolving, we're growing, we're expanding, we're ascending in some cases, but let's work primarily with progress, growing, unfolding, expanding. Some may say transformation. They may say it's a metamorphosis. It's another great word. But the one that I like most around evolving, there's two actually, but the one I like most is expansion. If there's one thing that the soul craves and the spirit of you crave, it's expansion. The other thing that it craves and delights in, and there's that word again, it is to feel the freedom of expansion. How often do we feel limited? How often do we feel like we've got constriction around us? Our body lets us know when there is restriction, when there is contortion and tightness in our spirit and in our soul. Our body tells us because we feel it. We get that tightness. We get inflammation. We have pain in some way, shape, or form. And it's pretty hard to be delightfully evolving when we have that kind of restriction that equals pain in the body somewhere. So to be delightfully evolving your radiance is to give your spirit and your soul room to expand, room for it to be its magnificent expanse of self. And if I come back to the power of our words carry amazing vibration, because most often when we speak, there is a purpose, there's a reason for what we're saying. And if we understand that reason, then we will know whether those words are actually delightfully helping us to expand, to feel into that space of freedom or not. So when we have a look at the words that we use, we look at the conversations that we're having, it's very easy to see whether or not we are delightfully evolving our radiance. Even in conversation, our whole energy, our whole look changes. When you think about different conversations that you have had during the day, or maybe if you reflect on a conversation that you had yesterday, you'll feel right away what it was that that conversation was bringing to you or maybe taking away. So when we're looking at a conversation, we want to be looking at the words that are going to be delightfully evolving us and bringing out our radiance. The other day, I had a fabulous conversation with a lady around courage. She's actually a courage activator. And it's a beautiful thing to hear her speak about activating your courage. But even that can make people shy away. And when we shy away, our radiance comes in instead of expanding out. And you see, when we expand out, when you expand out your radiance, when you're delightfully evolving in that expansion, you know, the impact you have, you touch hearts, you open minds. Instead of us going in and colliding because we want so much for someone else to take on our idea or to accept what it is that we're saying, if we were to turn that around and come in from a place of expansive energy and that delightfulness, then we touch hearts and we open that mind. And yeah, sure, there's times where opening the mind of another person just doesn't seem to be working, it doesn't seem possible. And they're the times we walk away. They're the times we say, well, it's been nice to speak to you, or listen, I'm sorry, but I need to go. So when we think about what we're putting out from ourselves is one aspect. What are we putting out from ourselves when we have a conversation? And really thinking about what that is for us, for you in that moment. And then also thinking about what it is that we have coming in towards us. So if I turned around to yourself, when you are, when you are receiving a conversation, and that's what it is, when you are having a conversation, you are receiving, because you're receiving the energy. You're receiving the vibration of the words and the subject matter, to put it in grammatical process, but you're receiving. So in every conversation you have, what is it that you're receiving? And is it assisting you? Is it of your highest good in that moment? Meaning, is it helping you to evolve your radiance? Because if it's not, it's a conversation that needs to finish. It's a conversation that needs to have you move away from it. You know, there are times when we just can't change how something is going for someone else. And there are times, in those times, when we use compassion, we use empathy, kindness, and even love. And at that very same time, we share those same things back to ourselves. So often, when we are outwardly giving, we forget that we are also receiving. So if we are outwardly giving compassion, kindness, empathy, love at a time where someone is deeply in need, we must also reflect that back to ourselves. Otherwise, what we receive is all of that sorrow, sadness, grief, maybe. That is what is being brought to us, sent out by the other party. And it's really important that if we want to delightfully evolve our radiance, that we hear, we feel, and we sense with all of our senses, which means our taste, our sight, our hearing, being able to sense how that conversation, how those words are reaching us, and then be able to discern. And if we are able to turn it around, and the reason I say if we are able is because it is a learning. You know, as we evolve, that's exactly what evolving means. It means to grow. It means to unfold. None of us arrived here in this world and went, ta-da, here I am. Oh, that's all of me. We arrived with so much to learn. We arrived with so much to experience. Would you agree? And how have your experiences been so far? Some challenging, some meh, and others you think, well, I could have done without that. And then others that you're joyful and delighted about. So when we are unfolding and we understand that it's going to take us a lifetime to unfold, then delightfully evolving our radiance becomes just a most beautiful journey and a magnificent part of our lived experience this time. When you want to begin really looking at delightfully evolving your radiance, begin with your words, begin with your thoughts, begin with your conversations. And it is a case of breaking it down to your words because it is your radiance. So if you're putting your radiance out into the world, then whatever words are going on behind the scenes, which means whatever words you are talking about yourself, whatever words you are talking about someone else, even a situation. No, we all have this very busy mind up here, and it just loves to take us on a merry ride until we learn to harness it. So we begin by looking at the words that we have running behind the scenes and begin to filter them out. Begin to look at the words that are being used just to yourself, even about yourself. That's a great place to start. You know, if your words to yourself are not loving, compassionate, kind, patient, tolerant, accepting, then it's a hard yard that we're going to have to be able to unfold yet another of the beautiful aspects of the spirit, of you, and the wonders of your soul. And then becoming aware of the words you speak, because we can change, right? The words that we're thinking about, not necessarily the words that we speak, but we're now going to become more thoughtful, more selective about the words we speak. And as you can see, that is going to frame a different communication, a different conversation. So when we are looking at wanting that sensation of feeling our own radiance, because you can feel it. Radiance isn't just something that you say that person has a lovely smile or they have a lovely energy. If you are when you are delightfully evolving your radiance, you feel it. You're the very first receiver of that radiance. And so you should be, because after all, it's the radiance of your spirit, of your soul. Now that's all the internal stuff. What's really big and has a major impact on you being able to delightfully evolve your radiance is what comes to you during the day. How often do you set an intention when you begin your day? Or do you scream out of bed, roar into the day, and then think, oh, whoops, I didn't set any intention today, and then wonder why things have gone perhaps a little bit pear-shaped from the time the day started? So beginning your day with an intention. And I like to suggest choose a main core value of yours as your intention for the day. So let's say that one of your main core values is kindness. So you choose kindness and set that as your intention in all that you do and all that you receive throughout this day. And then you begin your day. Now you have already placed that intention through your deeper subconscious, through your deeper mind, and that's being heard. So it begins a different vibration. And you know, when there is a vibration of kindness, of love, compassion, tolerance, acceptance that goes through every single cell in your body, and that gives the spirit and the soul room to breathe, but it also gives the body room to breathe. And the cells that may be experiencing inflammation, discord, what's called dis-ease, illness, pain in some way, will actually be able to breathe. And that might sound really strange. A cell breathes, but it does, because a cell vibrates, right? You, me, we are all vibratory beings in this very dense world, but we are still a vibratory being. When you have a look at the cells of the body, or if you were to go and have a look at pictures of them, you can see they are a living aspect of you. That's how you come to be a living, feeling being. So when we look at that on that very simplified view and think about what it is that a word brings to us, and then go deeper and think, what impact is that having on my physical self? So by setting an intention and choosing one of your core values, and you'll have more than one word that is a core value, so you can swap and change and engage with anyone every day, which to me makes it delightfully exciting. So choosing that word and making that your intention for the day will shift so much within yourself, and then it offers for your radiance to be seen in a different light that day, because each word carries a different vibration. It carries a different sensation for me than what it does for you. And that's another thing that's really important. When you are learning, going on the track of delightfully evolving your radiance, it's your radiance. It's not anyone else's. You know, when you step in your life, you're stepping in your life, not in someone else's. So often we see people who are in the shadow of someone else. So they've lost their radiance. They're not stepping in their own path. They're walking in someone else's. And there is a difference between walking in someone else's shadow, in someone else's path, versus walking alongside them. So when you are walking alongside someone's life, you share and your radiance is free to expand, which means that, again, your soul, your spirit, it breathes and it has this beautiful expansiveness about it, which is what it wants. And that is how you bring forward all of the delightful, the beauty, the wonders that you really would like to have in this lifetime. So we begin with the intention and then we nourish. We nourish through how we eat and how we drink. And you know what? The words, the thoughts, the conversations that you have when you are eating and drinking matter equally as they do when you're going to think about what it is you're saying. Because again, vibrations. So when we have a hot cup of tea, a coffee, a mocha, anything at all, any fluid, and we're holding on to that cup or that mug, whatever it is that we are holding on to in mind, thinking, it's already going into that fluid. And as we know, fluid is the most efficient carrier of energy. And yes, your energy goes through the cup into that fluid. And when you think about it, where is that fluid going to go? It is going to go into your physical self, right? So you're swallowing it. So it immediately meets up with your energy. So whatever words you were thinking while you're holding the cup and then what you're speaking goes into that beverage. Oh my, is that going to be expansive or contracting? And then, of course, we have the power of speaking. Our thoughts are one thing. Our thoughts are amazingly powerful, incredible, in fact, and you might find, or you might have found, that in recent times, things that you think about seem to come into fruition a lot quicker than they used to. And that's because of the shift of consciousness in the world in this last couple of years. And things have really sped up. So being aware of our thoughts and then our words being spoken is very important at this time. So if we're having that conversation now with a cup in hand, this is a very precious time to be thinking about the conversation. What is it that I am giving out? And what is it that I'm receiving with this? So pause. Take a moment and pause. Observe. Observe yourself. Go into those senses and really feel. Because, you know, you could have a beautiful cup of coffee, beautiful mocha, anything that is your favorite in that cup. And if the conversation that you are sitting in is a lesser vibration than the intention that you started the day with, that cup of coffee, that mocha, hot chocolate, cup of tea is suddenly going to taste bitter, or it's going to taste off. Your physical self will respond that fast. So initially when you first started, you could have been really enjoying it. And then as the conversation has unfolded, things have changed. And all of a sudden, it doesn't taste quite the same. That's how strong, that's how powerful you are. So just imagine if you tip that on its head in everything that you do, and you bring that sensation of expansiveness, delightfulness into your conversations. Wouldn't that change such a lot? Not only for yourself, but for those that you are conversing with, because the ripple effect is incredible. The ripple effect in conversation, think about it. Have you been in conversation where you just see everybody change through simple words. Words are extremely powerful, and how they are delivered makes them even more powerful. So let's move that along to the food. We were nourishing. So you're going to be having food. Once upon a time, families always paused and said a prayer of gratitude for the food we are about to receive. And everyone who had that intention, being grateful for the food we're about to receive, found digestion easy, and enjoyment of that food was most pleasurable. How often do you eat on the run? How often do you eat quickly? I know I learned to eat quickly when I began nursing because of the timeline that we had to have our meal. And by the time we got to the cafeteria, we were often left with like 10 minutes, if that, and then had to be back to the ward. I learned to speed eat, and not knowing at the time the damage that that does to your system. And at the time, I can reflect now and think that I was eating, thinking how little time I had, how much I had to get back to the ward. Not a good way, not a good place to be eating in. So if we move that forward to conversations around meals, what's it like for you? What is mealtime like? Is it hurried? Is it talking about the finances? Is it talking about something that's on the news? None of these things align with us when we want to be delightfully evolving our radiance. None of these things, these kind of topics, these kind of emotional conversations serve us on our highest level or offer for us to be able to expand and step into that beautiful expansiveness that the soul and the spirit thoroughly enjoy. And of course, means you shine your radiance a whole lot more. So looking at the conversations that you have when you're eating a meal is very important. Begin to shift them. And again, it's the pause. I love the pause. So when we're pausing, it gives us a chance, one, to breathe, and the breath brings a calmness to the body. And it gives us an opportunity to catch ourselves in our thoughts. What is it that's running along behind before we've even spoken? And then a chance to change that. The other way of delightfully evolving your radiance is to really make sure that you nourish your soul. Nourishing your soul means to be able to offer all of the things that you would give to someone else to make their day great or make them feel happier. You give those things to yourself as well. How often do you find that you seem to be doing a lot for others? You give, 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 give. But how often do you give back to yourself? Now, some may say, well, is that self-care? Is that self-love? I will say it goes deeper than that, because quite often self-care is viewed as a luxury. Self-care is something we kind of try and fit in with what we're doing. Whereas when we're looking at nourishing and nurturing, that's not something that we fit in. It's something that we really live and embody. And that brings me to a really important part of delightfully evolving your radiance, is the embodiment. When you embody those ways of living your life, so embody those core values, make them the way that you live every day. Embody the ways of nurture and nourishment for the soul and the spirit, so that it is something that is done from the highest order of love for yourself, not something that is afforded or fitted in. And embody everything that is you. So the key there is to really understand who you are. And that is part of this amazing journey we call life. And that's how we step into our radiance. So I hope that you are able to go ahead in your day, even if it's the end of your day, begin now. Begin now to have a look at those words, those thoughts, and change them. And find that one core value of yours that feels like it's sitting right on the surface at this time, and live it. You know what? If you're going to bed shortly, take that core value with you to bed and wrap yourself up in it. You'll be amazed how you sleep. You'll be amazed how you feel when you wake up. Have a wonderful time delightfully evolving your radiance, and enjoy the rest of the She Is Me conference. It's a fantastic opportunity for all of us. Thank you for being here today. And thanks so much to Lisa for having us and having me back again this year. It's a delight.